Okay, so we have a new episode of Legends and Leaders, and today it's great to have Sasha here. Sasha, you're somebody that has been really innovative in a lot of different categories. You've got this, business side of you, you have the acting side of you, but you helped spearhead a show, Pretty Little Liars, that became something that has affected so many different people and something that's been a generational TV and content for many. And you've had a bunch of different acting roles. You've got a new movie coming out called The Image of You that's exciting, and now you're really spearheading a brand. And you've got this innovative idea to create a cannabis infused drink that's more recreational and for fun, that has like the benefits of the calmness, but also doesn't make you feel awful. And you're the CEO of the brand, so I'm excited to have you here and to get into your story.
Thank you so much. That was a wonderful introduction. So I really appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, man, it's been an adventure. I've been really lucky to do some incredible things in my career. And I thank you for having me on. I'd love to share. I guess we'll start from the beginning. I'm from South Africa, and my parents are here. We immigrated over when I was around three and a half, three-ish. But my entire family's still there. So it's been a fun journey in general, just being in America and seeing my parents thrive, which is it's pretty cool. They sacrificed a lot for me to be in the industry. So very shortly after we immigrated to the States, I got into the industry and just loved it. Commercials and modeling and theatrical. I got my first TV show when I was 5, which was a remake of Family Affair, which a lot of people don't know the original, but it was really popular. So our remake was with Gary Cole and Tim Curry. And so as a young actress, not really knowing anything about the business and being really a child, that was such a cool experience. We were up against friends, so we had no chance, but a really cool introduction into the industry and just what it takes. And I just fell in love with it. My parents were really supportive and just in general told me that, if there's ever a moment that I wanted to stop, I could, which is funny as an adult, because looking back at it, I was contracted and I couldn't. But the sentiment was there. I never felt forced to do anything. And I know a lot of people, especially recently, we've heard too, have had a really hard time in the industry as a child actor. I know personally quite a few. And so I'm lucky to have, for the most part, come out unscathed in that side. But yeah, I guess fast forward, I was able to do lots of different cool projects. Pretty Little Liars, I did the pilot when I was 12, shot the first season when I was 13. I graduated then in order to work as an adult. So I had quite the fast track. I was homeschooled already. It just made life a lot easier. And I actually really enjoyed it. And it allowed me to graduate high school early in order to do what I loved. So very unique circumstance. I think I've always, because of the industry, been, I don't know what the right word is, I guess, older in a sense. I just kind of did everything before a lot of other people did. And that's not like a flex. It's just more so the course of my life. I've been in the industry for over 25 years now. I just turned 28. So it's been a whirlwind, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. I mean, it's been such an incredible experience. It's also allowed me to kind of figure out what I love other than acting. I've been able to really explore other things. I want to produce and direct and write, which I'm in the process of starting. So I really am in love with the industry, at least most of the industry. And I just have met so many incredible people. My favorite part about being on set is the crew. It's such a melting pot of people, and it's very collaborative. It's stressful and there's a lot going on, but it's so rewarding and it's addicting in that way. It's very hard to get out of once you're in, just naturally. It's just something that you get used to and kind of get addicted to. So it's been really cool to have worked with so many amazing actors and people, but I always kind of have my hands in everything. I have so many passions. When I guess it was 2018 or 2019 it came out, I have a huge passion for celebrations and cooking and hosting people. And so I wrote a cookbook. I came out with a cookbook, Sasha in Good Taste. And that was just such a fun little side thing that I did that I just am so proud of. But Yeah, I mean, I've got my hands into everything. I have a beautiful son. I'm obsessed with him. That was an interesting thing. I got pregnant during COVID or right before COVID. So um we kind of just hibernated in such a weird time, but we were really able to kind of cherish all of those little moments. So it's it's cool to be back in the industry and back to doing the things that I really love in my career. But yes, Hippie Water. So we have a really great group of solid friends that we've had forever. Um, three of them, or two of them in particular, we've been friends with for over 10 years. And so Alex and Taylor and my husband Hudson, we always, I mean, gosh, it's been forever where we just kind of throw around ideas. Alex and Hudson in particular are the idea guys. They always throw out ridiculous things, and it's fun, but Hippie Water was an idea. And I feel like all four of us kind of stopped for a second and we were like, hold on, this could actually be something that we could do. And mainly because we all have unique strengths and lines of work that really create such an amazing foundation for a startup and for our company in particular. So just a quick little dive into that. I'll make it short, I promise. Yes, I am the CEO of Hippie Water, which is a hemp-derived cannabis-infused beverage. We are low dose. We are 5 milligrams. We are dedicated to not only incredible taste, but safety and health. We are plant-based. We have no sugar added. All of our sugar comes from 15% juice. We're really incredibly proud of this product that we've created, but more importantly, Taylor created it. So we are a female founded industry or business, should I say. And Taylor has been a food scientist for over 10 years. She's been coined the beverage queen by Taco Bell. And she's worked for companies like Taco Bell, McDonald's, these huge giant corporations to small ones, creating incredible products, specifically beverages. And it's a huge passion of hers, but this has been so fun, not only as a business partner, but as a friend, to see her shine and create something that she's really passionate about. She's an incredible artist with food and beverage, and to see her really love what she's created is so incredible and fun. But because of that and her relationships and how good she is at what she does, we actually got our formulations essentially for free. So instead of spending 75 to 150,000 per SKU, we got that for free, which is unheard of and a huge advantage. Alex, our COO, has been in product development in startups and scaling for over 10 years. Most recently, he was working for Genies, and Bob Iger was on the board for a while, and they raised over 250 million. And he's just so well versed and so well tempered for this, and has been an incredible asset. So Taylor and Alex are husband and wife. I actually married them. So we have a unique connection there. And then my husband, Hudson, is our CMO, and he's also been in the industry for over 10 years. So he's in social media management and production, has really helped me with my social media. And we really just have created this really fun team. And, they say don't go into business with your friends or family. And so we broke that first rule, but I think that's okay. We really watch our P's and Q's and really lean on and respect each other in our individual fields. And so it's been an incredible journey to get here. To this point, we haven't spent anything over 15,000. We've really bootstrapped everything, but not lacking in quality. It's just really leaning into what we're good at. So that's been an incredible journey. I've had a crash course in what it takes to be a CEO, and I think not being trying to be humble here. I feel like I've done okay enough to really be confident in what we have, and so it's been so interesting and fascinating to be on this side of the industry. But we're really looking forward to launching the product, which is soon. You can check out our website, hippiewater.com, to learn all about it. It's been so fun. But yes, as you mentioned, Image of You is a movie that's coming out in May 11th. So that's really exciting. I filmed that last year, and it's a thriller. I play twins, so very fulfilling as an actress. I get to play two characters, and that was really a little bit of a wild ride that I really enjoyed. So I'm really excited for everyone to see it. And now I realize I've just taken over everything. I
No, it's
I hope
okay.
that a good amount of information for you, but please join in to this
All right, so
conversation.
we'll do a couple questions. So
Yeah.
Sasha, like, how did your passion for acting kind of begin? Like, I know your parents, they were part of like professional acrobat dance team. So you're kind of always in the industry in a sense. But at what point did you like realize like, hey, I can make a career out of this? And kind of how did you take your first steps into getting your first role?
Yeah, absolutely. Being in the unique situation of being so young, I suppose, it really felt like fun. It felt like a game in the beginning. Like you said, my parents are dancers. I love that you did your research. Thank you. And so I kind of just had that showbiz, bug, like that entertainment bug, based on the environment that I was around with them. Um, but I feel like I probably figured out that this was, a future for me. I'd say probably around 9 or 10. I did an episode of House, and I played a cancer patient, and that was so intense, and I loved every second of it. And it was just, it was a really intense role. I had 5 hours of makeup every morning.
Wow.
Um, it was but it was so rewarding and so fulfilling, and it was just like, I mean, I couldn't picture doing anything else. And being homeschooled, I was technically already in junior high, I think. So I was already looking at options. It's like, what do you want to do? Is there anything else you want to do? And at the time, my backup was going to be marine biology, because I've always loved that. I've always been passionate about that. So it got to a point where I suppose it was a decision. It's like that left or right. Um, and getting Pretty Little Liars, it was like, this is it. I mean, like, this is a dream. There's nothing else that I would want to pursue as a main career. So I feel like I've played so many different characters, and I think that's a huge part of it, where you kind of fall in love all over again. And it's a really difficult industry, just even with rejection. You get rejected way more than you get accepted, or get a yes. And so I think my parents really did a good job in the beginning of kind of laying the foundation of how to best handle it. And
Mhm.
so my version of that was, you go to an audition or a meeting and you do your best, and then you forget about it, instead of dwelling on it and waiting for the call and trying to get feedback. And it's really difficult when you really, really want something, if it's a role that you really love. But I think that kind of applies to a lot, where it's you're proactive, you do all that you can, you put everything into it, and then that's all you can do at the end of the day. And you use your passion, but don't exhaust yourself. Your mental health is so important. I definitely learned that throughout my career in different capacities. I've had a lot of health issues. So once I was on Pretty Little Liars, probably around the second or third season, a lot of health issues showed up. And so that's a challenge, because I was really growing up on camera. So it was documented. I didn't have that normal growing up process, if you will, where, like, I didn't have braces, but it's one of those things where you're like, oh, that awkward phase that you went through. Yeah. It was, everybody saw it all over the world.
Mm.
So emotionally, that's really difficult. And it was at the start of social media. I mean, Pretty Little Liars came out when Twitter started getting popular, and all of a sudden we were connecting with people all over the world. But that also means, as incredible as that is, and how awesome it is to be able to connect with people, it also means that you're all of a sudden getting a flood of opinions, good and bad. So yeah, it's I've learned a lot of hard lessons very early on, and I'm grateful for them. But it's not. I'm not going to sit here and say that it was easy by any means.
Mhm. So, like you mentioned, kind of different things that happened because you were like growing up on camera. You also like had this opportunity to put like a Macy's passport fashion show. You started modeling pretty young too. So like, you were like involved in a lot of things, from a pretty young age. Like, how did you start to have like somewhat like how did you have somewhat of a normal childhood that was enough for you to really become somebody that was normal and functional later on? Like, how did you maintain that early on?
I love. Oh my gosh, I don't think I've had anyone bring that up in at least a decade. That was really, really fun, and I really enjoy modeling too. I think I'm too short for the most part now. But as far as print work and as a kid, yeah, runway modeling. That was such a unique experience, because the first audition I'd ever had like that. It was definitely a cattle call, but it was immediate, I guess, how would you put it? We all went into this huge room. There was probably at least 200 of us.
Mhm.
They gave us a crash course of the choreography that they wanted, and a group of you performed, and they would call out your number on your shirt of who was through and who wasn't. And it was just this elimination process, which at, I don't even remember how old I was. I was probably 8 or so, is a very weird thing to do when your parents aren't around, where it's just you and you're just kinda like, "Well, I hope I get it immediately." Um, but that was a really fun experience too. I think I will be honest in saying that I don't think I really had any normalcy. There wasn't anything that was, traditional, if you will. But I did find some really amazing friends early on that are still friends today. And it's maybe in ways a detriment to my career, honestly, but I being able to have solid friends that were not in the industry was so important. So
Huh.
all of those really tough moments with my health and just random things going on in the industry that were not favorable, I had real people to fall back on that had known me since I was little. And that I think is invaluable. People that do have traditional childhoods, and all my friends were older still, and I will say my my sort of normalcy was like going to high school football games and going to dances and experiencing that, and that was really fun. So I did get a taste of it, and in ways I got the best part of it. So yeah, again, not traditional, but I think just enough to make me really understand that our little bubble in Hollywood is not reality. And you have to
Mhm.
keep yourself out of that to just kind of understand what the world is really like. Because I think it really is easy to get swept up into things that are so not important. Um, and those little things that matter now. And I feel like everybody gets doses of that on social media. The things that we care about over others are not exactly the best colors in humanity. But you gotta figure out your way.
So you kind of had a couple of friends outside that like helped give you a different perspective. That's interesting.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah. No, go for it.
yeah, so basically, like you had to develop your acting skills kind of as you went, in a sense, like, and you had many experiences to keep refining them. Like, how did you initially learn how to act? Was a lot of this just like the personality that you had, and a lot some of it natural? Like, how did you kind of learn as you went?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that I never really studied, I suppose. And I think there's a lot of ways that you can go about it as an actor. A lot of people go to school for it, go to drama class, go to even just in general college, try and get into theater. I didn't. I think some of the reason is just um I was kind of learning on the spot. I think in ways this applies to some things, and it really just is your style and your choice. But I much prefer learning um, at work. I much prefer like gaining
Mhm.
that knowledge on through experience. And I totally respect people that study, and there's nothing wrong with it. And I'm sure there might have been things that I would have learned faster, but at the end of the day, I think a lot of being an actor is your instincts and flexing that muscle a lot and putting yourself in other people's shoes. And if you can really um master that just based on I guess character building, you learn you work your way through it. And I think again, like I was really lucky to like get a job, every couple years or a couple times a year. And so in ways there wasn't really a moment for me to. I had wonderful acting coaches. And that was definitely something that I was leaning into. It wasn't traditional, studying in group settings or going to school for it, but those acting coaches really helped develop those muscles. And one was actually like kind of like a father figure or a grandpa figure in a way. And so what was interesting about that was, I was really young, so I was getting an influence that I think a lot of people didn't necessarily have. and another incredible woman who just shaped me in ways of just, I think, understanding things on a page. And then there's other things that come naturally, memorizing lines, that is definitely a muscle where I can, not with other things. I forget everything else. Mom brain is a real thing, but I can look at a page and read it a couple times and, like, for the most part, totally understand it and know it, and you can
Huh.
probably repeat it. And that is just something that comes with time and, practice.
Hmm. So like yeah, as the show as like Pretty Little Liars kind of progressed, the first like couple seasons you had a specific role, and then even the fifth season it kind of shifted towards like a bit different of a role. Like, how do you think that kind of occurred? Do you think it was because like of the skills that you demonstrated earlier on? Was it just were there other dynamics at play? Like, how did that shift towards more of like a main role in the fifth season and on?
I think, we had the book as a rough guideline. We didn't really, or the books, should I say, we didn't really follow them past the first like one and a half. There were a lot of changes, but I think the ultimate, character playbook was there. There was a lot of things they chose not to do. Allison had a twin. They kind of shifted it into different characters. I think I'm thrilled that I had a really cool arc.
Mhm.
Not a lot of people get that in shows that are long running like that. It just kind of becomes you're the same person, you're doing the same things for the most part. Allison she was everything and everywhere. And I think they just essentially utilized that to move stories, which was so fun. In the beginning, Allison was such a bitch. I mean, like, and I was young too, so I was kind of stepping into this like villain, really fun villain role, and I love that. I mean, that's the things that I tend to go for are darker characters, or things that are, I would hope not like myself. Um, and in the beginning, I really thought that people were going to hate Allison. I was like, she's so cruel. She's so awful. And it's one of those characters where you kind of like love to hate them. Um, and I think it was nice to see her progression coming into an adulthood, and, recognizing the people that she loved, and what was really important. But I think it kind of went from being this figure of trauma in a way, and like the person that you want to be at the same time, and I think that resonated with a lot of young people in general.
Mhm.
And to see her progress and kind of grow up a little bit, I think was really important. So for the most part, want to give that up to the writers. I mean, that's a testament to them. But I think it's a bit of both. I think being on a long running show, your writing room just kind of also understands what you're capable of, or what you're good at, what your strengths are. Our writers definitely did that. I mean, they really lent into Ashley's humor. They really lent into a lot of Troyan's, ways about her in real life, and the quirkiness that Lucy brings, and the fun like moments that Shay brings. Like when they know you so well, they can really lean into that. And I think it kind of just gels. It doesn't always go right. Sometimes it's not right, but for the most part, they really nailed it. And so I think that's where like that collaboration comes in, where I
Mhm.
really like hitting those crazy lines and doing those weird things. I mean, I got buried alive. You know, I was in a mental institution. I was in jail. I mean, I did everything and anything on that show, and it's really fun. But they really kept my character interesting, which I appreciate.
Mhm. So like throughout like when you've been acting, like how did this like business passion develop? Was it something more recent? Because now you're the CEO of a new brand. This is your responsibility to run it. Like, were you always kind of interested in business? Throughout, like how did this kind of develop this business passion?
Yeah, I mean, I think as I became an adult, I was really into real estate. So I think understanding something that was completely different to my career was fun and exciting, and something that I really enjoyed. And obviously, that doesn't necessarily equate to a CEO of a beverage brand, but I think I've always kind of wanted a new challenge. It's always like, okay, well, what's the next thing? And I find business in general very fascinating. And I think also just certain friends. I mean, even Alex, as an example, we've been friends for 10 years, and to see him move through different companies and see like what he's passionate about and what he's good at, it's like, oh, that's so exciting.
Mhm.
And I have a few things that I really love. I mean, or want anyway. Like my goal this year is to make the Forbes 30 under 30. But I really, I'm like, what is that next bar? I want to meet it and beat it. And I will say this is not necessarily something I ever would have guessed that I would have been involved in. But the more we shaped it and built it, the more I became passionate of like, okay, how do I become the best CEO? What hole are we filling? What does this mean to consumers? And I think it's that challenge that drives me, and finding, the new things that I'm good at that I didn't necessarily know were there is fun. So I think it comes from a selfish place in a way. I want to beat myself. I feel like I'm my own challenge, and I prefer that perspective. Like, yes, I want to beat the companies that are leading the market, but at the same time, I know that I have to be the best I can be in order for that to happen. And it feels like a role in a way that I'm growing into. And so I feel like the way that I'm studying for that is, okay, what makes a good CEO? A lot of it's communication. My strength is outreach and the way I connect to people. And I love that. I'm very passionate about that. That specifically plays into Hippie Water, where yes, it's a selfish need. Alcohol doesn't really suit my lifestyle anymore. I definitely have lots of fun, but now I'm a mom, and now getting up for work, like I can't have a hangover. I can't deal with that. But it's still nice to feel something, to have that buzz, to be able to relax, whether that's like a girls' night or like at an event or whatever it may be. I think that I really wanted something that I didn't have to compromise for.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to choose between feeling like shit the next day, or like letting loose a little bit at the end of the night. And so creating this product has been really fun. And I've been able to understand that hole that we're filling. It's like, okay, whether you are a parent, whether you are an entrepreneur, or like an entrepreneur that is getting up at 5 a.m, whether you are somebody that loves nature or just wants something to like help relax after studying for college, whatever it is, there's a place for Hippie Water. And I want to be able to essentially help those people. Like I want Hippie Water to be embedded into your life and positively affect you. And we want to offer more than just a product. We don't want to just offer, like shove a product down your throat. We're really expanding into media. So we really actually consider ourselves a media entity with a badass product. A lot of cannabis is misunderstood. So honoring the fact that we need to tell the full story. It's not a pretty past. There's a lot of darkness in there, but there's a lot of light as well. And we need to educate our consumers. We're activating the canna curious, the people that don't necessarily know this side, and it's something that it can be really beneficial for their lives. So we're attacking it at lots of different angles, from docuseries to developing talk show to podcast, to really being there for you and offering you wellness and education and so much more than just a really delicious beverage.
Yeah, I definitely like that you're taking a different approach to like kind of the consumer behavior standpoint of it, because like people just have a perception of what this space is and trying to just make it like relate to them in an understandable way, but make them really realize what this is great. Sasha, like what are some of your like, just the last question I have, like what are some of your short-term and long-term goals now? Like you mentioned Forbes 30 under 30, but like what are some of your like your goals for the brand? Like what do you hope to achieve in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, of course. Personal goal, of course, Forbes, that would be so fun. I'll sit here and like reach for the stars and say, yeah, I want to be a unicorn company. Absolutely. Isn't that, most people's goal, I feel like, for that startup sense. And we'll do our best to get there. But yeah, I think it's 10 years. I mean, it's building out a brand. Brand recognition is obviously so important. And we want to take the stigma away. So our biggest priority is not only to be in the top 3 beverages in our category, but also to release the stigma around it, and to really make sure that, this is something that needs to be there. We want to own the space, not only, on the shelf, but really own that way of life. It's a positive thing. It's not something that we are kind of twisting. It's real. And so brand recognition, taking away that stigma, and really helping educate people in this category is really important to us. We are also, we want this to become something that's normalized. We understand that this is something that like we want to be acquired. We understand that this is so connected to the alcohol market. Yes, it's non-alcoholic, but a lot of brands are trying to expand their portfolio, and we see a large opportunity there. I always want to be, all four of us really want to be involved in it. This is not something that I'm just slapping my name on because it's cool. I really want this to succeed. So this first 10 years is extremely important. And essentially it's about building the best foundation as possible. We want Hippie Water to be a really long living brand. And we have so many other brands to look up to, and things that we can strategize with. And so it's essentially about making the most of these 10 years. We want you to know Hippie Water everywhere.
Sounds good. Well, appreciate you coming on. Definitely, it's great that you shared your journey. I think a lot of people can learn from the steps that you took. And I'm excited to see what you do with Hippie Water. It seems like you're solving a great problem. There's a lot of people that want to have a product from this cannabis space that is much more relatable, that takes kind of the best qualities and also packages it with really high quality, a high quality perception of it, and in a relatable way. So I wish you much success with that and appreciate you coming on, Sasha. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. This was a great talk. I appreciate it.